welcome to another Caffeinated Entertainment video. It's Art, here with the review of Robert Jackson Bennett's Foundryside. I got a copy of this from Netgalley via the publisher, which I believe is Penguin Random House. I'll put it in the, correct myself in text below if it's not the case, but I believe that is. This book is a science fiction kind of fantasy novel. It deals with a lot of tropes. It deals with the trope of a slave coming into her own and finding her own freedom. It deals with a lot of like steampunkish type of technology and deals with a lot of feudal hierarchy systems. While it deals with all of that, it handles speech in a real world way. Like when people cuss, they cuss. When people are intellectual, they speak more with forethought and more gumption. It is a very good book that in the end will leave you wanting more. I wrestled all day with the score I was going to give this book, but let me tell you more about how I arrived at that score before I reveal that score. There were times when the book slowed down and when the two main protagonists separate from each other, which is a very science fiction-y trope. This book, Foundryside, follows almost beat for beat a lot of tropes and a lot of known commodities in science, in both science fiction and fantasy. I felt like it was a little bit Games of Thrones-esque, and a little bit Harry Potter-esque, with a little bit of steampunk and science fiction thought and forbearing, because gravity plays a big role. Things have defined purposes, and those are typically science fiction based propositions. I swallowed the wrong there. Science fiction propositions. You could tell that Robert Jackson Bennett wants this to be more than one book, because first of all, it ends on a cliffhanger. Not going to tell you how it ends, but it ends on a cliffhanger. It leaves you wanting more. And a lot of the first book feels like a world-building expedition, because he spends a lot of time explaining how things work, explaining the rules of the world, just so that he can then later break them. So, with that said, one of the major downfalls of doing something like that is it can slow down and lose momentum and tempo in certain sections. And it's no different in a change in Foundryside. That's why I feel this book has to be rated a 3.5 stars on, for purpose of GoodReads, 4 stars. I'm going to say read it on my scale, because my scale is a little bit more, it's not, it's more precise, it's more fair, let's say. Will I read book 2? Of course I will. The cliffhanger wants me wanting book 2 right now. If all the things I said about the book, it being steampunk-esque, Harry Potter-esque, having slow parts with a grandiose world building, which I'll admit is put together well, appeals to you, this is a book for you to read. If it doesn't, I don't have any problems saying stay away from it. If you're on the fence about it, get it from your local library. Try it out. I can't say anything more without trying to spoil it, other than to say that the protagonist, the main female protagonist, wasn't as whiny as most female teenage protagonists are, and I appreciated that very much. Or at least I didn't think she was as whiny. I appreciated that very much. So, Foundryside, check it out if it appeals to you. If it doesn't, skip it. And I can say that honestly and fairly. So without further ado, you know I make videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday at 12:30 p.m. Central, 10:30 a.m. Pacific, 1:30 p.m. Eastern. Please leave a comment. Please leave a comment in the comment section down below, and let me know if you've read Foundryside or if this interests you. Thanks once again to Netgalley and the publisher for giving me a review copy. And happy reading to all, and I'll see you next time. Peace!